Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. Welcome to this edition of the Pan-African Live Debate. My name is Andrew Luwum'S, your host and the speaker tonight. And tonight I am glad to be here again with you. Thank you so much, my audience that is live here. Thank you so much, my audience that is listening to our affiliate stations, Great Africa Radio and Tropic FM in Mvende, and also that audience that follows us on TV Africa on Sunday and Thursday. But also, I don't forget to thank that audience that follows us on our social media platforms, the Pan-Africa Live Debate platform and the Pan-Africa Live Twitter, and then Andrew Lumba Live on our Facebook page. We all follow you, those people that follow us all there. We thank you so much. This is the Pan-Africa Live Debate, a non-partisan discussion forum, and our aim is to actually tickle that intellectualism in you, and we move forward looking for solutions for African problems, first by Africans themselves. Tonight I'm glad we're going to discuss a man that has been in our media for a very long time, a man that we have come to learn even when he's long gone, a man whom most people describe as a patriot, as a nationalist. But there's the other side. There's the other side of the government of Amin that think this was a traitor. I'm talking about Archbishop Janan Jakaria Luwum, a man who was murdered either by Amin himself. If not by Amin himself, then it was his henchmen. I'm going to be giving you a history about this gentleman, and then we shall see whether this man qualifies to be a Pan-Africanist or a traitor or a rebel. Gentlemen, I thank you so much. Our audience, you can actually as well join us online via our MTN SMS line 0782 342317. I repeat, 0782 342317. Don't call but send a message. I will definitely read your message. Let me begin with Genevieve. What do you remember and what did you learn from our colleague General Luwum?
A very good evening to everyone. Thank you very much, our moderator tonight, Mr. Igumba Andrew, our listeners out there, and the viewers at large. I greet you all. Today, I don't know whether is this paying tributes to the late Archbishop Janan Luwum, but I think it's really paying his tribute since the government has also decided to recognize it. And have they already paid tribute to him or this weekend? So it's a great night. Why do I call it a great night? A great night because this is the night where we are remembering great men of these nations, people who tried their best to fight for what was right.
Just a minute, please. Let me just help you and give you a background of who General Luwum was. Archbishop Janan Luwum was a leading voice in criticizing the excesses of the Idi Amin regime that assumed power in 1971. In 1977, Archbishop Janan Luwum delivered a note of protest to dictator Idi Amin against the policies of arbitrary killings and unexplained disappearances. Shortly afterwards, the Archbishop and other leading churchmen were accused of treason. On 16th February 1977, Luwum was arrested together with two cabinet ministers, Elinayo Wilson Oryema and Charles Oboth Ofumi. The same day, Idi Amin convened a rally in Kampala with the three accused present. A few other suspects were paraded forth to read out confessions implicating the three men. The Archbishop was accused of being an agent of the exiled former President Milton Obote and for planning to stage a coup. The next day, Radio Uganda announced that the three had been killed when the car transporting them to an interrogation center had collided with another vehicle. The accident, Radio Uganda reported, had occurred when the victims had tried to overpower the driver in an attempt to escape. When Luwum'S body was released to his relatives, it was riddled with bullets. Henry Chamber, Minister of Health in Amin's government, later wrote in his book, A State of Blood, that the bodies were bullet-riddled. The Archbishop had been shot through the mouth and at least 3 bullets in the chest. The ministers had been shot in a similar way, but one only in the chest and not through the mouth. Oriema had a bullet wound through the leg. According to the later testimony of witnesses, the victims had been taken to an army barracks where they were bullied, beaten and finally shot. Time magazine said some reports even had it that Amin himself pulled the trigger, but Amin angrily denied the charge and there were no first-hand witnesses. General Luwum was survived by a widow, Mary Luwum, and 9 children. He was buried at his home village of Muchwini in the Kitgum district. He is recognized as a martyr by the Church of England and the Anglican Communion, and his death is commemorated on 17th February as a lesser festival. His statue is among the 20th century martyrs on the front of Westminster Abbey in London. Gentlemen, that is briefly who General Luwum was and the life of General Luwum while in Uganda and serving as an archbishop. But Luwum was born in the village of Muchwini in Kitgum district to Acholi parents. He attended Gulu High School and the Boroboro Teacher Training College, after which he taught at the primary school. Luwum converted to Christianity in 1948, and in 1949 he went to Buwalasi Theological School. In 1950, he was attached to St. Philip's Church in Gulu. He was ordained a deacon in 1953, and the following year he was ordained a priest. He served in the Upper Nile Diocese of Uganda and later in the Diocese of Mbale. In 1969, he was consecrated Bishop of the Diocese of Northern Uganda at Gulu. After 5 years, he was appointed Archbishop of the Metropolitan Province of Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and Boga in Zaire, becoming the second African to hold this position. But if we ever attended meetings in Arusha, Tanzania, bloating nothing but the top of the sitting government, what would you do if you were me?
Okay, thank you very much, Ilunga. Yeah, you're posing a question. Did he die a rebel or he died a saint? I think the answer to me, on my own view and opinion, both. He died a rebel, he died a saint. Yeah, looking at the times of Amin, you know, Idi Amin that as the president of Uganda, like any other president in Uganda, like even the current president today. So General Luwum, that fact is really, he was fighting. He was trying to use Christianity to fight Amin's regime by that time, which was not wrong, it was right, because he was pro-people. That's where I come by and say, yes, he died a saint. I wanted to bring up that I read one time The Mustard Seed, written by the president of this country, that's President Yoweri Museveni, says it and cites it so well in The Mustard Seed and say that he was ruled only one day by President Amin. What does this bring to our understanding, and if you're to analyze this statement? So meaning, Amin took up power in Uganda and became the president of Uganda and ruled President Museveni only for one day, and Museveni opted to go to the bush or to be a rebel, yeah, because he said it clear. So if he was a rebel by that time, so for me, on my own analysis and understanding, that means that most of the atrocities and other killings that happened during the President Amin's regime were not only committed by President Amin, but were maybe committed also by Museveni, who went to the bush by that time, or who rebelled against the regime of President Amin. So it can really be noted that some of the massacres and the killings were done by both parties. I'm not trying to defend the fact that President Amin Dada committed a lot of atrocities, the killings, but this is just something to bring to our understanding that all African presidents, whether back then and present today, all of them have always done the same thing. They've always killed to protect their interests, to protect themselves, to continue being like presidents. They forget one thing, that we are all immortal. Someone can do whatever it takes to maintain his power and maintain being in State House. So Luwum, as somebody we are paying tribute today and somebody we are remembering in the Christian community, actually I'm not an Anglican, but what I know with the Anglicans have always stood the test of time. With the leadership, you can't separate Anglicans with leadership. Even if you looked at today the Parliament of Uganda, the ministers of Uganda today, most of them, a majority, I can say 3/4 are Anglicans. Whereas whereas the Catholics are a little bit shy, they don't come up, they're not so really much into leadership and into politics. So it justifies and it brings out why, you see, by then it was Archbishop Janan Luwum who stood the test of the time. He tried his best, and that led him to die a martyrdom death. Yes, he died as a martyr, and it's a saint really, because he died for the cause, trying to fight for the rights of the Ugandan people. So I thank you.
Thank you so much.
God bless Uganda.
Thank you so much, Ms. Genevieve Abate, the spokesperson of Uganda Federal Alliance, coordinator of Lunda Luwaga North Development Association, Bet Kamia's Education Association. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I will call Mr. Jesh Robert. We are asking ourselves, did General Luwum die a saint or he died a rebel? We are asking ourselves, do we still have people of that stature, or the religion has also gone to the dogs? Mr. Robert.
Yes, thank you very much. First and foremost, good evening, comrades. R.I.P. General Luwum. Yeah, recently, was it on Thursday or Wednesday, ahead of the 2 days? At least I got a chance on BBC, and they were interviewing her daughter about the issue, how the incident happened. And I heard her daughter being intervened, and then she was saying on that day, this is maybe off record, she was saying that on that day, there was someone who was tortured, every beaten, and he came at their door, at their place, and knocked at the door at night. Then he was saying, "Open for me, General." And then this gentleman, or the priest, knew this person's voice. At least he had it. He opened up. At the time of opening up, when he opened up for this person, the person was already tortured, beaten heavily, and he was escorted by heavy armed men. So at the end of it, they had to grab him out of his house. They took him, and then in the morning of that day, as he was saying, that's when Idi Amin assembled, and he was announcing that this person was arrested, and all the media houses were all over the place and over the world. Like the priest was already arrested, and was Idi Amin in his speech. At least I heard him, he was saying he was going to be prosecuted, as the courts of law says, and by military courts by then. But after the incident, this man was taken. But on the way, I hear to the military courts, that's when the incident happened. He was shot after, because it was a report after, like, yes, he was trying to escape, as he said, and then he got a car accident, of which it was false. But at the end of it, it's not all about me, like I'm considering it, whether I died a saint or a rebel. because you cannot die two things at a go. You either die of good or bad. That's what I think of. And it gives me a thinking in my mind that this is our country, and this, look away back, that's where we've come from, and at least we hope to be somewhere else in the future. But what is the take to this point of view? My take is, at any time, at any place, I will always appreciate the current government which is in power. I will never disagree with that. I will always appreciate on kind of circumstances and facts like I have, of what I've had, of what I've experienced. I will always have to appreciate NRM as a government, as the ruling government. And the next thing is, what is the go-ahead? The go-ahead is, you have always to be a person of your origin. Because as the daughter was being interviewed, she was saying, General Luwum was a person of, he was a perfectionist, he was a man of his word, he was a man of all people. So at the end of it, that's the person who was supposed to be a priest as the character. If you're a priest, you have to be that. Other than taking this route. If you're a priest, you have to solicit money. If you're a priest, you have to make miracles. By the end of it, me, I don't believe he was a rebel, as the allegation were, and as accusation was. And the thing is, what do you do after being something? If you have a platform, I think if you have a platform, that's when you have always to fight for those who cannot do so. Those who cannot manage, you can always manage for them. Those who cannot access, you can always allow them access something. And those who don't have a word, you can always be their word and a person of support. Okay? And another thing is, I wouldn't say we should always have to take that route of being too on the opposition side of the government, or being too rebellious to the ruling government, or being too, like...
I would like to inform my colleague that Luwum was not killed as a bishop. He was killed as a rebel. That is my point.
Okay, you're informed him.
Yes, I'm denying that, because me...
You are denying that he was killed as a rebel?
As a rebel.
For you think he was killed as a martyr?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the facts I've raised out. If you can check on, was it on Tuesday? I mean, Wednesday or Thursday, BBC, at around 7 p.m.
And that's also another challenge. Yeah, that's also another challenge for African facts to be always sold from BBC.
No, but they intervened. They intervened.
Yes. Yeah, someone move this mic. You see, that's another challenge, that whenever you're looking for, we consult BBC.
The question, you said that he was not killed because he was a rebel.
Yeah.
But he was killed maybe because he had a woman dispute between... No, maybe, do they have one, contesting on one woman with the former president, Idi Amin? Because I don't think there is a reason for Amin to kill this person without any reason.
Okay. Point of information, take to the other gentleman. You start with your name and then your comment.
Yes, you're speaking to Hope Eric from KI. This is my say to the speaker. General Luwum was against, he was not against the government. For your information, he was not against. But just because Idi Amin was the one against him now, you get it? He was against him, was against religion.
And he was challenging the act. Yes,
Thank you very much.
Start with your name.
My name is Sudan. I would like to inform the current speaker. You talked and said that there was no evidence that maybe General Luwum was a rebel. But I'm here to inform you that, what you said, you are trying to portray that maybe his death, or maybe, should we say, killing him, that it was just a rumor, there was no evidence. But you have already heard it, that he has been attending meetings in TZ, and I would like to inform you that even when they were attacking Amin, the evasions came from TZ. Thank you.
Thank you. Give that mic, run that mic, give it to the other gentleman behind. That should be the last word.
Thank you very much.
Come again, you need to speak up, start with your name, sir. Mr. Kiberumali.
Maybe to communicate some information.
Yes, sir.
And clarity. We have not had any information or report which point it is existing that Amin killed the Reverend.
That's true.
Amin still said that he never killed the Reverend. So there is a possibility that the rebels, the bishop was communicating with, attempted to withdraw him from Amin's men, which had a battle which led to them. Those are speculations. So we cannot try to conclude that Amin killed the bishop.
Thank you. Give this mic to the speaker.
I'm only talking about one thing. If you do something wrong, or if you always have to fight for a good thing, always be expectant of any kind of circumstances after, either bad or good. But what is your take? At the end of it, what's your take? Should I go for a bad thing in order to keep mum, or should I go for a good thing in order to go through on fire? Okay? And what else? What's the go ahead if I take a good thing? I mean, that's the thing. If you take a good stand, you always have to succeed, but after, tug of war or fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robert Josh. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing the days of Archbishop General Luwum in Uganda during the Amin's time. We are also asking ourselves, do the current religious leaders uphold his zeal to have a free Uganda? Because I understand that one of the things he fought for was that Ugandans should be free from captivity, free from intimidation, and free from everything. We ask today, do we still have religious leaders upholding such beliefs? But also, too, we ask ourselves, did he die a martyr or he died a rebel? Gentlemen.
Thank you. My name...
Mr. Kilema, you were a poor NRM youth.
I know he has communicated to you.
Poor. Okay.
I won't say that I'm a poor youth. I'm Chiweru Malik from UCU, Uganda Christian University. Now, the debate today is about the late Luwum, whether he died a saint or a rebel. Let me give you a brief background, because the saint and the rebel brings up a debate of politics and religion. A brief background. 1000 AD. The Catholic Church was controlling politically the whole Europe. So it was a religion engaging in politics. In the 14th century, Pope Pius started what they call a crusade movement, whereby people from Rome traveled to Europe, the whole of Europe, Germany, Australia, England, killing each other. Whoever killed became the leader of that place. But by the orders of Pope Pius, that was the crusade movement. So it brought up that politics was driven by religion and religious leaders. Today, our dear president said the religious leaders should be out of politics. We shouldn't forget that religious leaders are also citizens of the Republic of Uganda. They deserve a right as any ordinary citizen to comment, to talk about the life which affected them, or the policies, the government policies which affected them. So,
but wait a minute, somebody else would also ask, President Museveni is also a citizen of Uganda. He is not a bishop. So one would say, if you believe that being a citizen of Uganda and Ugandan gives you an automatic license to be in politics, then why doesn't the same give an automatic license to President himself to be a bishop? So yes, we can be all Ugandans doing different tasks.
Okay, I will make my submission referring to one of the speeches President Barack Obama gave when he was at the University of Yangon. He said, the most important office in politics is not the office of the speaker, neither is the office of the president, but the office of the people. The bishops fall under the office of the people, but not every ordinary citizen fall under the office of being a religious leader. So they have a right to rebut on every policy, political policy which affected them. To go back on whether
yes, you can inquire.
Yes, thank you very much. Who is a religious leader?
Okay, sit down. Let him answer you.
any religious leader can represent any religion. I mean, a religion belief. The students of jurisprudence will tell you that religion and religious leaders subscribe to a worldly view. So every religious leader subscribe to his own worldly view. The worldly view of being a Muslim, worldly view of a Christian, worldly view of a Hindu, among others. Politics and religion are bound together, and they are inseparable. When we are campaigning, most of us here, we have engaged in politics of campaigning. No person who has gone through campaigning who has not reached a religious sector, the sector of Muslims, Christians, all of them, they have really reached where they come from, their religion, where they come from. So why do they go back there? It means that in politics, to gain political fame, you can pass through the religion to gain the political fame through the people. So which means, if politics was to be separated from religion, maybe we shouldn't have been going to churches to ask for the votes from the voters. Whether Mr. Luwum died as a saint or as a rebel, and that's what he was pushing, and that's why he endeavored to go and attend the meeting of the rebels by then to come and remove Idi Amin, who had not choose to give people their freedom. So he died as a saint, and may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Mr. Malik from UCU. Gentlemen, I am privileged, those listening to me on Great Africa Radio, to be here with Mr. James Kashaya. James Kashaya is a former personal assistant to former State Minister for Health, Mr. I'm forgetting his name. Mr. Kakoza, this man of MP of Kabula, Kakoza, James Kakoza. Mr. Kashaya James right now is a social researcher with the Progress Uganda Limited, PUL. Thank you so much, Mr. James Kashaya, for honoring my invitation. I have also been joined by Professor Ndinawa Byekwaso. Professor Ndinawa Byekwaso's CV is so long, I cannot finish it now. But what I know is that he's one of those people who actually sat down and designed that thing of Jangwans that has disturbed people for many years. Parona is a lecturer at Indeja University. Thank you so much, Professor, for coming up. Mr. Kashaya, the topic is, we are remembering the General Luwum Day. General Luwum has been actually given a public holiday. Every 17th of February, Uganda will have that public holiday. But we're also asking, do we still have those religious leaders that actually still uphold his vision? Those people that still stand to say, no, I am okay, but these people are not okay. Therefore, I will disagree with you. Because I am sure that also General Luwum was not a poor man. He had everything he needed in life. But still had to say, I mean, you're not doing well here, and this is what I would like to see. And that was his trouble. But also, second, we are asking, religion and politics, can they separate? Because when a president is being sworn here, he either holds a Bible or a Quran, not the 10-point program, not the manifesto. It is either a Quran or a Bible. So when you say, yes, when you say, do not come to my pulpit because you're not a politician, but you're a religious leader, why do you invite him to swear you on that day, Mr. Kashaya?
My dear participants, discussants, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the Pan-African Club is a very, very important club. Whoever is cheapening the intellectual capacity, the analysis of this club, you are doing a disservice to this club. I want to guide you as we are discussing these national issues. Let us be objective enough. Today we are discussing the hero, the unsung heroes. There are many unsung heroes in this country who are not remembered or recognized. So you need deeply to think more than mixing excitements with sentiments. Because today we are talking about Lumumba, tomorrow we may be talking about you. Uganda is here to stay, and Africa is here to stay. Let us be objective, regardless of our political or religious affiliations. We all here believe that we are Africans, and we must discuss in that angle. Mr. Chairman, I've not come here. I have many positions I'm holding in this country. That's why today I just mentioned that one. Because I want to exhaust this point as a Pan-Africanist. Now, all of you know, killing a person not by committing suicide is a serious crime, not only in one of the confinements of the law books, but it's an international crime. Actually, it's a crime against humanity. So when one kills another one for a certain cause, any cause, I think we should not just take that thing for granted. History has it, especially in this country, that many people were killed. Those who were not here, you can ask those who were there by then, that in Uganda, we had what we call the extrajudicial killings. People were killed like the way you can step on I mean, any microbacteria on us, just stepping using your shoe. That's how human beings were being butchered day and night, including religious leaders. Mr. Chairman, Luwum'S Day. Yes, why not? You can have Luwum'S Day. You can have Kashaya's Day. You can have as many days as you can. You can have as many public holidays as you can. But the question is, do Ugandans understand the cause and why this grandson of this country died for? Do they know? Or it's a matter of just putting there the day and all of you go to bars and start drinking water and beers and you call it a day? To me, Mr. Chairman, I think would think deeper that when that day comes, how do we celebrate it as Pan-Africans, as Africans? What are we remembering in terms of governance? What are we learning from that past experience? As scholars, as students, what are we learning? If we have learned, what is the way forward? What do you want to see Uganda looking like after that experience? Those are serious issues that can be discussed more than a day. Now, unfortunately, the regions or religious leaders we have today are not kind of regions that most of us would like to see. Look at the division in the Church of Uganda, which was called the Anglican Church.
It was called, it's still called.
Oh, it's still called so? Oh. That's a very good information.
You didn't know.
Because it's like, why a God's organization promoting homosexuals? Why a religious organization is having a head of the church who is a homo? It brings now the element of ethics and morals on which these religious organizations were founded up. It's a challenge. So a person who is in that category has no moral authority whatsoever to celebrate the Luwum'S Day. Because you are occupied with other things that are not helping us as Africans. This is Africa. We are Africans, and we are very proud of being Africans. We were rich with our morals and cultures and traditions. So rich. In 1886 up to 1912, Africa as a continent was ranking #1 in the whole world, as the most hospitable continent on earth. Rich in culture, rich in everything. Where are we? These are issues that you cannot ignore to talk about, especially when you are remembering this hero. Now, let me go back to Luwum. Luwum was a peacemaker. Luwum was a nationalist. Luwum was a human rights activist and a human rights defender. You cannot be a religious leader heading the whole church in 4 countries. You sit down and sleep watching your fellow followers being butchered. Then you are not worth a leader. This is the kind of spirit we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Luwum was not a political leader. Luwum was a religious leader and a peacemaker. But as a Ugandan and a citizen of this country, he had a stake. He had a stake. And this is the spirit we want as Ugandans. We want to emulate Luwum'S legacy. You people, but a man by nature is a political animal. How do you separate this? Right from Stone Age, those people, by then when we are still having kingdoms, those people who were still believing in Nyabingi, Misamba, blah blah, they had people who were heading these religions. They were their beliefs. They were associated with kings. Kings. A king was the head of Misamba in that area. So how do you separate this? Not until there was an introduction of the Western regions. The Western region, you remember in Uganda here, how did it start? Some of you who studied the history, we have a professor here. maybe you not know. The first political parties in Uganda were found on a regional basis. DP, Dini ya Papa. If you are not a Catholic, you cannot be a member of DP. Who doesn't know that? UPC, United People of Canterbury. If you are not a Protestant or American, you cannot be a member of UPC. Who doesn't know that? Do you know why imperialists supported Milton Obote? Because they were not supporting another Muganda. I don't want to mention his name here. You know him. Who was a Roman Catholic, and they wanted the person to actually protect his interests. Even up to today, some of you, let me tell you, even today, most of these mushrooming political parties, they have got some religious attachments. If you are telling me of Aya, I can even tell you that others are even funded by religious organizations. But because I have no doubt, let me say it. There are many NGOs who are attached to these religious organizations, who are funding politicians, who are funding political projects. You mean you don't know this? How will you separate it?
How bad is that now? Is that bad?
It has never been bad. That's what I'm saying. It has never been bad and it will never be bad. We have different roles we are playing as leaders. But we are all nationals. We love our country. A religious leader cannot see something going wrong and sits back and says, no, I'm comfortable in Namirende. You have the biggest followers in this country. Actually, they are the stakeholders for information. That's why, by the way, apart from using those political ping pongs, at night, some of these people, they go to State House. Are you aware? Yes. Are you aware of that? Yes. The president and the head of state in every country cannot ignore the roles of these religious leaders. What are you saying? These religious leaders have followers in their churches. So you cannot simply ignore them like that. So, apart from just using those political comedies that they are using, but they are aware that these are politically connected people. In a conclusion, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate the life of a foreign hero, Bishop Luwum, all of you here start thinking now, what have you done to this country? What have you done? What do you want to see this Uganda looking like? Good evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. James Kashaya. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned to Pan-Africa Live Debate here at Fairway Hotel. We are also powered by TV Africa. This show runs on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. and on Thursday, a repeat is done at 3 p.m. We are tuned to Great Africa Radio in Mbarara, 98.3. We are live, and we are also live in Mubende via Tropical FM. Ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to be the speaker in this evening show. Mr. Izzadin Noor from South Sudan, the mic is yours. All the questions you wanted to shoot, I want you to shoot them right now. As I get online, Reverend Father Gaetano Batanyenda, when I get him, I will disturb you a bit.
Good evening, everybody. I will say Hawari Gani, and I will greet you in all African languages. What I'm going to talk about, because most of the speakers, they spoke about, I will call him Brother Luwum, who was victim also of the conflict between foreign religions, Islam and Christianity. For me, both of them, including General Amin, they are patriots and heroes of Africa. whether people accept it or not. General Amin, all Africans, they are talking about him, that he was able to defy the white man, and he was the only African leader who predicted that America would be ruled by black people.